So, hello. Welcome to this episode of BS Talks. I am joined by the Minnesota Spirit Hunters, and I am excited to discuss with them their experiences at the Boyd House, which is an upcoming investigation that I have. They were so kind to agree to allow me to interview them and just kind of pick their brains on what is I might be in store for in a couple of weeks. So, would you all like to introduce yourselves, give your experience and your background in paranormal?
Yes, so my name is Marcus, and I am the founder and CEO of Minnesota Spirit Hunters. I opened up the team back in 2020, I believe it was August, more or less for the experience of the paranormal on a more professional level than what I already did before, more or less out of curiosity. So going almost 2 years strong. Couldn't love anything more than I love paranormal, and it's just an exciting thing to do. So that's how I came about with the team.
My name is Brandon Schreiber. I am the lead cameraman for Minnesota Spirit Hunters. I also do a lot of the equipment stuff. And I've been investigating with them since December and been having a blast the whole time.
Kara and his wife. Oh, that's it.
So are all of y'all believers in the paranormal? Is any one of the three of you a skeptic? Do you have a skeptic on your team?
I wouldn't say that we do have a skeptic on the team. Everyone seems to believe pretty well. I have had skeptics before on the team, but there's just some things in the field that if you are a skeptic, it almost makes you, second. How do I want to say it? Second guess how you feel about paranormal, because we've experienced some pretty wicked stuff, and just everywhere we go, it seems that everybody has these experiences, and we can all compare what we all get, and just seems like everybody is really involved in it, and I think everybody is actually believers on the team.
Okay. So just a quick run through. I have some questions before we actually get to the Boyd House.
Okay.
What are some common techniques, or maybe even some uncommon techniques, you use in the field when you do your paranormal investigations?
I know we do use some common equipment with a lot of teams. We use like all your basic spirit boxes, EVP recorders, all of that. As far as techniques, I have found that never going alone on an investigation is a really big one. There is a possibility that something bad or horrible could happen if you are on your own, so you always want somebody with you. As far as getting activity, I haven't really found a technique that does not work. But most of them are the basic techniques, but we're always looking for brand new stuff to try and see if we can get new things. I don't know if Cara and Brandon have used a different technique before, even outside of the team, but we are always looking for new techniques to use to see if anything changes.
One of the investigations we went on, there was a lady that did candle work. So she had two different candles, and it was responding. It would the flame up really high on one candle for yes, or the other candle for no. That was something I hadn't seen before.
So you kind of brought up one of these, but what are some do's and don'ts that y'all follow for the investigation?
Ooh, that's a good one. Of course, the not being alone is obviously a don't. Another don't I would say is revoking is absolutely out of the question. You do not want to revoke a spirit ever. Any kind of paranormal is not good to revoke because it's disrespectful. And basically these spirits, entities, whatever they are, whatever they may be, technically are people still, even though they're not alive. They're still people, and and obviously they're gonna get mad if you walk in and start being rude or anything like that. So my biggest don't is no revoking. So as far as I do,
Be respectful.
for sure, being respectful is a great one. Wow, you are picking my brain today.
Do's and don'ts. So never go off on your own.
Mhm.
Said that. No provoking.
We already said that.
Did you talk about not talking about how they're dead in case they don't know that they actually know?
Yeah, so one thing that I'm really big on is I don't believe in asking spirits or ghosts or whatever they may be how they died or letting them know that they're dead. Kind of work your way around the question, because some of the spirits, ghosts, whatever they are, they don't all know that they're dead. Obviously, some of them do, but you kind of want to ease your way around that question. Just don't outright ask it, because um, I've never had anything bad happen when asked that, but it's been a very long time since I've asked that question. But other people have had bad things happen when they ask, because the spirits don't know that they're dead sometimes, and you're just obviously reminding them that they're dead and um, almost confusing them, you know.
Another don't, I would say, that's on camera. Another don't I would say is, oh God, no, I forgot because I told her something. Oh, don't do things that you're not prepared for. So if you're not trained or you've never experienced certain things, don't walk in and say, okay, you have permission to use my body to talk. You wouldn't do that if you don't know what you're doing. You don't have somebody there to protect, things in place. That's all I was gonna say.
So don't do something that you might regret later.
Pretty much,
That you
yes.
don't know what you're doing.
Mhm.
It's not a game.
So, Marcus, you brought up that you started this 2 years ago. Did you do paranormal investigations on your own prior to that? Like, how many years of experience do the three of you have in paranormal investigation?
For about a year before I opened Minnesota Spirit Hunters, I did have two other investigation teams, which those two teams combined lasted almost a whole year. I closed down these two other teams because they wasn't getting me anywhere. We wasn't able to do what we are able to do as Minnesota Spirit Hunters. Before I opened any team at all, I was doing like YouTube videos and stuff. And during these YouTube videos, I was trying to communicate with the paranormal, the spirit world. I would have to say I was doing it in the wrong way because I had no idea what I was doing, or anything. But it so happened that I did come in contact with stuff when I was doing these YouTube videos. And just by coming in contact unprofessionally with these spirits and stuff, made me want to take it to a more serious level and be more professional about it, and put a team together and try to get the answers to so many different questions that a lot of people have. So all in all, I've been doing paranormal for about 4 years now.
Kara, Brendan?
Good Lord, we've been doing little investigations ourselves, what, 15, 16 years?
Yeah. Yeah, since we were teenagers, we would go and do like little mini investigations, just the two of us and whatnot. It got to a point where, we were like, yeah, I think it's time to probably join an actual team.
Mm-hmm. And it's actually a funny story because these two came on the team because we were doing an episode of Minnesota Spirit Cast, which is our weekly podcast. And Kara actually came on the podcast and threw a comment out there because we were talking about helping spirits cross over and stuff. And what she was dealing with something that's actually right up the road from where we are. But it all came about us helping cross the spirit over. And we've did multiple investigations over there. We haven't been able to be successful because we need to know a technique that we can use. You know, do we need a medium there? Are we not carrying a good enough conversation? We don't exactly know how to go about crossing this person over, but it's the fact that Kara joined the team just by being on one of our podcasts and stuff, having that interest in the paranormal, and this is something that's been going on forever. And then Brandon joined the team by tagging along on an investigation, filming the investigation, and right there, I'm like, Brandon's the camera guy. You know, he's the guy we need. So, I almost think it was destined for them to join the team because it all happened in a short period of time.
All right. Before we move on, are there any other things that you feel like all investigators should do while in the field?
One thing I think everyone should do is make sure you are doing the proper protection procedure before an investigation. You always want to make sure that you are playing it safe on all of these investigations, because the places that you go to with more higher activity, there's a possibility that anything can happen. So you definitely want to make sure that you are properly protecting yourself, especially if you have like minors with you. You definitely want to protect them highly. And I think every investigator should stay by another investigator or another team member's side and never wander off alone. Just for the safety of that team member and the rest of the team, it's always safe to have one person with you and use the proper protection.
Another big thing is, you know, if you're investigating an old place that's not in too good a shape anymore, I mean, there's always the possibility of falling through the floor, or the wall giving away, or something, you know, or somebody could get hurt too.
Just basically an unstable foundation, you know, take proper precautions with that and figure out beforehand, before the investigation, what do I need to do to protect myself and protect my team so that nobody gets hurt, nobody, you know, does anything wrong, or anything wrong happens to that person. So, yeah, I agree with Brendan, making sure you are prepared for the foundation that you're going into.
I would say research is a very important thing.
Yes.
Obviously, you're not going to have, you're not going to have mediums or anybody that's sensitive do any research. You're not going to tell them about the location. Sometimes you don't even tell them where you're going, just in time, you know, because you want them to be fresh. But like everybody else, they should be doing a little bit of research to know what they're walking into.
Absolutely.
Another thing is following rules. Like if you have group rules, especially safety rules, follow them, lead by example. Oh gosh, I had a whole list in my head.
When you go to leave, protect yourself, you know, when you go to leave, you know, you tell things that they can't come with you, they have to stay where they're at, you know, that whole spiel. And each investigation is different, and each place is going to have different challenges every time.
Also, don't jump into it with expectations of getting this crazy great footage to make this great, because it's not like that. It's real life, and sometimes you go to an investigation, you get absolutely nothing. You have to be okay with that. It's
the point of going to these investigations to go to these investigations, you know. What basically what Kara's saying, we've talked about it a lot, you know. If you go to an investigation and you don't get any footage at all, it's the point that you got out and you got to go investigate and you had fun while you're doing it. And it's not all about the fame, the fortune, or the views, you know. It's all about debunking whether it is paranormal or if there is something there or anything. So absolutely, you cannot be discouraged if you don't find anything.
And speaking of debunking, that's another big thing that we do.
Yeah.
Like we had an investigation where on camera we seen the door slowly open, went back to watch footage and whatnot, and you know, we found out that one of the investigators, you know, had went in and used the restroom and then came back out, didn't close the door all the way, and the door slowly opened. So we immediately tried to debunk it and everything as soon as we could. You know, watch the footage, make sure that there was nobody there, and sure enough on the footage, we've seen the person come out of the bathroom right after.
If we put everything that looked like evidence into an episode, we'd probably be famous, but that's not what it's about. You go back, you look at everything, and you test everything out, and you pretty much disprove half or more of it, especially if it's like an in-house location,
Mhm.
more than cemeteries.
Yep.
There are a lot of people in the universe who do study paranormal as a profession, and some of these people dig deep into these episodes or videos that you're putting out, and they could tell what's real and they could tell what's fake. So if you didn't get anything at all and you want to make yourself a great episode or something, just you can't fake anything. Don't do a voiceover and make it sound like a ghost said something, or make sure you're actually putting legitimate clips in your footage, all original sound and everything. So debunking and editing is a really big one, because you want almost everything to be raw and uncut. You don't want to cut too much, because then it's gonna look fake. So just editing, debunking, provoking, that's all big subjects that we like to cover on ourselves.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
So let's get into the Boyd House. Tell me, if you don't mind, how many times y'all have been there and your overall just general opinions. Please don't feel the pressure to share anything you want to include in your own channel and your own stuff. Just your overall general opinion and how many times you've been there.
Okay. So we have been there one time before, and we actually went back in, I think it was Cara, Brandon, it was like December, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We went back in December of 2021, and I myself think it was an absolute amazing investigation. I've heard stories and I've watched videos about the Boyd House before, and all of the footage that was on these shows that I watched was absolutely phenomenal. And when we actually got a chance to go ourselves, was it's a big house. It's got a basement, it's got a living level, and then it's got a third floor, and then it's got an attic. And each level has its own amount of activity. I can tell you that. And I don't know if you want me to say anything about what place is the most haunted there or anything, but there are multiple spots. You'll be in one spot of the house and hear something in another spot. If you go up to that spot, you're going to hear nothing but hear something below you, and it kind of gets a little more active as you go up, or a little less active, no matter where you go in the house. So it's a hit and miss at some points, but the activity is definitely there, and it's a really fun place to investigate.
Also times, so it might be really active for a good couple hours and then it goes dead and there's like nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden it'll pick back up. So I would say overall, I've been to a lot of places privately and with the group now, and many are, and they're actually haunted. This one I can definitely say is haunted.
Now there was one instance where myself and our lead investigator at the time, we were all the way up in the attic at the Boyd House, and I believe there was one or two other people with us. Brandon, you may have been with us, but there was a voice that came through the spirit box, and it was saying something, and then it said 12 a.m. I think it said 12 a.m. And it made it sound to us as if something bad was going to happen at 12 a.m. So we all took turns in shifts sleeping. We all got our sleep in shifts, and we were up until this time, and absolutely nothing happened. Around the time that everybody started to get wore out, granted, we were there for 21 hours. It's a very long investigation. And investigations take a lot out of you, a lot of energy, physically, mentally, all that. Nothing happened at that time, but there were other parts where you're sitting in one spot and you see something coming right at you. It's absolutely phenomenal place to investigate.
So you actually created a question while you were explaining that. Do you think that the primary type of haunting that is at this location is residual, or do you think it's intelligent?
Cara, I'll let you take that one.
I would say both. There's a lot of residual and there's also intelligent.
Okay.
There is definitely, I can agree, there is residual and intelligent there. At one point, I think at the beginning of our investigation, there was a team A and a team B, and we basically split the Minnesota Spirit Hunters up into two teams, and one of us were down in the basement, all the way at the bottom of the house, and then the other team was all the way at the top of the house in the attic. Well, we're sitting down there, and we got our cameras rolling. We're at base because we did our home base in the basement, and all of a sudden, one voice will come in, and then the activity will start lining up together. For some reason, we started playing some. Brandon, what kind of music did we end up playing? I know we played Elvis Presley.
Yeah, we started with like Elvis Presley because we figured around the time the house was built and when people were living there and whatnot, and we started playing Elvis Presley. A woman's voice came through the spirit box and yelled Christianity. So we're like, okay, no more Elvis.
So we ended up putting this voice comes through while Elvis is playing, and we ended up putting on some Christian music because she plain as day says Christianity. So we thought maybe she wanted us to switch to music, so we put on some Christian music, and I tell you, not even 5 minutes after we put on this Christian music, our K2 meter, the lights are going with the music, and it's going with the beat of the music, and the phone or the speaker or nothing was around this K2 meter. It was around no equipment. So these spirits that we encountered are almost the intelligent spirits, and then there's definitely some residual stuff in the house. So
And they seem to be Christian in their lifetime.
What's that?
And they appear to be Christian in their lifetime.
Yes.
All right.
Now there's several things that kind of lead into our beliefs that they were Christian in their lifetime. I don't want to get into too much of that because I want to see what you get during your investigation, but I think a lot of the stuff that we got there kind of almost made us believe that they were Christian in their lifetime. They had a morning routine because at the middle to the end of the investigation, couple of our members, including Kara, actually got to experience and feel their routine because they felt the kids getting out of bed. And, I got to experience the dad going around telling the kids to go to bed and all of this. And, there was just so many things that made me believe they focused on a specific lifestyle, and my belief is that they were Christian in some point of their life.
Hey Marcus, we do have to jump off.
Okay.
It's only less than 15 minutes before the show.
Okay.
So one thing I wanted to bring up was I have spoken to other teams who have been to the Boyd House. A couple of them have been numerous times. And one of the things that they all agree on is the foot traffic at the Boyd House has nearly like gone up times 10 over the past year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the teams, two of them in particular, believe that it has had an impact on the paranormal engagement that used to be there compared to what is there now. They believe the paranormal activity has decreased over time.
Okay.
And a couple of teams feel like there hasn't been a change at all. Of course, any given day, spirit may or may not choose to engage with you. One of the things I intend on doing at the Boyd House, which does go against one of your main rules, is I intend to do it alone.
Okay.
I'm going to be spending the whole night there by myself.
Ooh.
I've done investigations this way before. In fact, the majority of my investigations I am by myself.
Mm-hmm.
Bradley's there for some of them. My wife has investigated with me before, and I've been to places where other investigators happen to be there, and we team up and we do it together.
Right.
But this one, I really want to experience a space completely alone. Most of the places I've investigated alone have still been active with other people, because the majority of my investigations are at haunted hotels.
Mm-hmm.
So normally there's other guests at the hotels, there's employees, there's management, there's an overnight staff, there's people there still. But to
Yeah.
have an entire space just by myself, I've never done that before.
Oh, you
Um,
know, that's I know this is one of the rules that I personally don't believe in. However, it can be very, very beneficial. Um, it'll be interesting to see what you get on your own. We did have a few team members who did wander off on their own. And they were getting responses and they were getting activity. Now, 21 hours you're going to be there, right?
No, I believe I'm only there for 16. No, 16, I think is the number.
Okay. So it's like 3 p.m. to 12 p.m. the next day, isn't it?
11, I think my contract is.
Okay.
It's like 4 p.m. to 11, I believe, actually.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, it's going to be interesting to see what you get because you're going to have that entire house to yourself. There are going to be moments when you walk in this house and when you are in certain parts of this house that you might be looking behind you, might be watching your back a little bit because there were parts, even when I was with other people, to where I just was keeping a lookout to make sure. I'm a scaredy cat sometimes. You know, I'm not completely brave, even though I do this. But doing it on your own, testing that theory, see if activity is different from having somebody with you is going to be interesting to see what you get. So, well, I was basically wondering where we can watch this episode along with others. I know you're saying you have a small YouTube channel and all your episodes and stuff go on there.
Yeah, it's BS Paranormal on YouTube. We are the only BS Paranormal. You know, we came up with the name. It's Bradley and Scott. I'm Scott. Bradley's my partner.
Yeah.
When we first started this, he was the believer, I was the skeptic, and all the puns that go along with that. You know, he's the father of four. He has that dad humor.
Yeah.
And I love puns and jokes and stuff. So we thought it was a fun name to start off with, and we like it. So that's kind of the name of our channel. But
by yourself, what you could do is periodically do lives. So that way, people are still being able to see him. People are still
I like that.
with him.
I like that. Do you want to explain to him? I'll mute myself. You could explain to him what you just told me.
Brandon?
Okay, what I was saying to Marcus, there is kind of a way to work around the whole by yourself. Is you can do lives like every so often, say like every 2 hours, you can jump on and do lives. That way people can see you, people can see that you're okay, people can check in. And that, but you're still being able to investigate by yourself, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
That's what some teams do.
Well, and again, well, I guess I didn't really get to explain this, but like one of the techniques the technique I'm going to be using is, again, as foot traffic has increased at the Boyd House, a couple of teams have told me that they feel like activity has declined with increased foot traffic.
Yeah.
Again, it's like you go into someone's house and you have a group of 6 or 7 people go into someone's house every day for 9.5 months, 11 months. Like, if it's your house, you're going to start getting annoyed. You're going to like shut down. You're going to walk away from those events. So like my idea was to go in there and do a lazy investigation, an investigation where I have my gear up, I have camera on like my K2 meters, I have thermal up, I have audio up, I have devices active, but I don't actively investigate. I'll
Bring extra batteries.
Yeah.
One of the biggest problems we had was crazy amounts of batteries being drained.
Does the house have electricity?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I normally keep my stuff plugged in. Yeah.
There is no stove too.
There's
Yes,
a
I
big
was aware of
microwave.
that. I was going to bring sandwiches and stuff.
We didn't know that till we got there, and I had brought in
like a casserole type of thing that was supposed to be cooked.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I've been interviewing people and talking about this place. I was like, yeah. And from what I understand, there's also not like a decent place to eat that's not more than 20 minutes out. So like you're kind of stuck there when you're there.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was gonna bring sandwiches and stuff, so that was my game plan.
You know, Scott, there's one thing that I wanted to bring up. At the Boyd House, we came across during a spirit box session. We were in the living room, and we started getting different language from the spirits and stuff. Now I can't remember what kind of language it was. Do you guys remember what language we got?
Being Minnesota, I would almost be willing to bet it was either Dutch or German.
Or Swedish.
I think I think Brandon says it was Dutch or Swedish. It was something like that. But there were multiple moments in our spirit box session, our kind of little lazy investigation. You know, part of the investigation was a little lazy investigation. And we had the spirit box setting up. We had all different kinds of devices running that we could hear, and these foreign voices that were coming through, we would look up these what they meant. So we would use Google Translate, and we would put these in Google Translate and translate everything. Now, some of the stuff that came through in these foreign languages actually led up to some of the stuff that happened in the Boyd House. So it's very interesting. I did want to let you know because they may speak a different language and kind of give you a clue on what you can use to kind of interpret what they're saying. Google Docs, that one was no help. Google Translate was a great tool if they start speaking a foreign language, easy to translate. Yeah, I wanted to bring that up just in case you run into that too.
So I actually will be in pretty good shape if the language is Dutch or German.
Okay.
My wife knows a little bit of Dutch and she's semi-fluent in German.
Okay.
So like I do have someone who I can kind of go, hey, is this German?
Yeah.
And that's interesting because I do know a few phrases in German I could actually pull out if that's the language they're speaking.
Don't sing the happy birthday song.
Yeah, don't sing the happy birthday song in German.
I don't know the
It
happy
can get
birthday
bad,
song
man.
in German.
It can get bad, man. But another thing that I do want to point out is in the basement is where I think we got majority of our activity. That's where the K2 meter was lighting up to the music. Our team, but we split up into two teams. So the other team that me, Cara, and Brandon were not on got a spirit dancing in one of the little back rooms in the basement. So they got a spirit dancing. We got voices, like intelligent voices coming through. The main bedroom up on the, what was it, the third floor?
Second floor.
Second with the master bedroom.
Yeah, it's the second floor.
Okay, so the second floor, the master bedroom, you know, we were in there. We had a minor on our team, and she was on our team when we were in the master bedroom. And I don't want to assume anything, but this guy is kind of, I don't want to offend anybody or anything, but kind of perverted a little bit. You know what I mean? She's a 15-year-old girl. You know, he had no trouble laying down next to her, copping a feel when he can, and all of that. You know, so there, I would watch out for that guy. You will be alone. You know, I don't think you'll have any issues with him. But we're in this room, and we have a music box sitting out in the hallway, and it's completely quiet. We're not talking. No spirit boxes are going or anything. And in the hallway, this music box goes off, and we run out there, and there's absolutely nobody out there because the other team of our members was down in the basement, I believe. So a lot of activity, I think, came from the basement and the second floor where the master bedroom is. So there, there's going to be a boiler room. There's actually 2 kids' playrooms. And I don't know how well you do with like haunted objects and stuff, but there are like haunted dolls there. There's haunted toys. Pennies kept showing up everywhere. Like everywhere you would look, there would be a mysterious penny or a stack of pennies. So yeah, plastic Indians, anything. There are ceramic little jester dolls in one of the kids' bedrooms, or kids' playrooms. And those jesters were arguing back and forth through our equipment and everything. So it's very interesting, that place is.
So are there kids, like spirits of kids in this place?
From what we know, there are spirits of kids. Now, Kara and our medium Rochelle woke up early in the morning. All of us were sleeping, and her and Rochelle go sit up in this tiny little red room that only has an end table and 2 chairs. And they were talking. You guys were talking with the mother, right? Okay, so they were sitting there and they were talking with the mother, and she was just having a little conversation with them. And then you can sense and you can feel the kids running around. There was one instance where Kara was in the crawl space on the 2nd floor, and a kid showed up right behind her. So there were many instances where there was presence of children. I don't know how many children, but I know the guy who owned the house, Fred Eckhart, he had like 8, 9 children. I don't remember what the exact number was, but there is definitely presence of children there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll mute.
Oh,
All right.
am I echoing?
Nope.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I was gonna say about the kids, or actually from something you were talking about earlier, if we think it's residual or if we think it's intelligent. The Boyd house is kind of what made me think that sometimes they can be both. Because and that doesn't make sense to you, I'm sure, but it was like we had the ghost box running, and we had the mom's voice, which we had caught in several places of the house, come through, and she was saying 1-word phrases. What usually comes through, and to sum it all up, of everything that she said, it's that she was like coming into the room to wake up her children for breakfast at 4. It was like 4:30 in the morning. And
So you're saying that it was like an intelligent spirit that follows a routine?
yes,
Okay.
I don't know what that means. It's just what I experienced. So she came in, and I had the ghost box running, but we weren't communicating. We were just talking to each other. And then her voice came through and I forget the exact phrases. It's on camera, but it's been a while. So, I don't remember the exact phrases she said, but to the roundabout of waking the children up for breakfast. And me and Rochelle looked at each other like, this is really cool. And so Rochelle asked her, do you have oatmeal? And the lady said, yes, come down. Like, come downstairs for oatmeal is what we assumed. I mean, but you can't really know for sure.
So you made something click. If it's an intelligent spirit following a routine, if more foot traffic means this routine's getting broken more often, that might lead to more or less activity depending on the situation, depending on the specificity of the foot traffic, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's say you're a mom trying to wake up your kids and there's someone in your house who's just kind of like hovering over you. Like, they're hovering over you. Are you going to keep that routine, or are you going to alter it, right? Like,
we tried to stay respectful of that once we knew what was going on. So earlier in the night, this angry guy's voice kept coming through saying, leave, get out, be quiet. separate times throughout the night, just everywhere room we went for a couple hours. And so we finally went into the little blue room with the no heat, and it has that weird picture. And it came through the ghost box, kept shushing us, saying shh. And we're like, click, this was a baby's room. And so we asked, is the baby sleeping? Came through, yes. And it was the dad's voice, the angry guy's voice. We're assuming the dad. And his voice started to be less angry as he continued his responses. And we started whispering and being quiet. And then he was starting to communicate more, answering our questions. Once we lowered our voice and we were still and quiet, it's like the whole time he was just angry that we were disturbing his children trying to sleep.
So this makes me want to be exceedingly quiet when I'm there. Like, I may not even talk to myself. Like, sometimes I'll talk to myself when I'm like by myself in an investigation. I'll just like make like personal commentary, but just imagine what I could catch setting up cameras and audio equipment and just being silent.
Yep.
Like that I think that's a way to go.
And then I did have a piece of equipment get lifted up. Moved. So I had a little mini
Walkie-talkie.
no, I'm talking about my phone when it was on the stand.
Oh,
I can't remember the name. Tripod, thank you. It was like a little mini tripod and my phone was on it. So I didn't have to hold it, and it was on the end table in the downstairs living room sitting area. And as we're recording and talking or whatever, it like lifted a little bit and moved over. And I like froze. It's like, what? Anybody else see that? Nobody else saw it, but on the recording, because on the app I was using actually records video too, and it moved. So I was like, that's crazy.
That's insane. That's awesome. So whenever I do investigation, I always bring manipulatives. When there's kids involved, I tend to bring like a toy or a doll or something. I bought toy trucks. But I always bring balls, like what are they called? Like racket balls that are very smooth, that roll very easily. So I'm hoping to get to use those.
Yep. There's a little, I can tell you right now, there's a little boy in the basement that loved the cat balls that light up.
Mm-hmm.
He kept putting those off, and I actually saw with my eyes like this black mask looking thing coming towards the table. And at the same time that I saw it and I froze, I was like, okay, I've never seen that before. And I was like, froze. The medium we had with us said not to freak you out, but there's a little kid reaching up over the table trying to reach that ball. And I'm like, well, that makes sense. And so we actually put them on the floor and stuff, and they kept going off here and there.
and when you show up there, you will notice that there is already balls and stuff.
Yeah, they
in the
put toys
basement.
down there for
There's
him.
toys, balls, yeah.
All right.
Something to think about. There's definitely a little boy in the base, at least in the base. He might be elsewhere in the house too, but that's where I encountered him.
Cover your mouth.
So overall, what do y'all think of my plan to investigate it? Do you think it's something unique? Do you think it's something that would work to get different activity?
Yeah.
So your plan for your investigation?
Mm-hmm.
I've heard of the lazy investigations before. I am interested to know how it's going to go for you. I definitely think, it's going to be quiet. You're going to be there alone. That gives the spirits or whatever's there a chance to be heard. It's going to be super quiet, which of course, at a certain time of night, the dad wants it to be quiet. He wants his kids to go to bed. And if you're too loud, then of course he's gonna, be around. He's gonna try everything he can to shut you up almost, but you being there, setting up your equipment, and just overall being like quiet and by yourself, I definitely am interested to know if it's gonna give you great activity. I think it will. It's a technique that I've never tried before, and you're gonna have multiple different ways to see, because you got you got spirit boxes, right?
No, I don't. I actually don't use
Okay.
spirit boxes.
So how do spirits talk to you?
Traditionally, it's audio recorders, and I just hear it later. I'm very old-fashioned in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
I do utilize K2 meters and EMF detectors. I have had wonderful fortunes with K2 meters.
Absolutely.
I've utilized the flashlight technique before. You know, you unscrew a little flashlight and have them turn it off, turn it on.
Oh,
I've actually never
heard
had
of that one.
a response on that one.
Really?
Yeah. But the K2 I've had a lot of work on, a lot of positive feedback on, and standard EMF detectors I've had positive readings on. So like
Okay.
I've had standard EMF detectors bump up to 0.4, 0.6, just sitting there, trying to
Wow.
have a conversation with something.
You
Um,
know, all I can really say about what you're going to be doing with your investigation is I'm excited to watch it. I'm excited to see what you got compared to what we got and what other teams got. If you were to ask me if you think this place is worth an investigation, 100%. This place is one of our favorite locations that we've been to so far. I think you're going to have a lot of fun. It's going to be absolutely amazing. And one of these times, I want to do a collaboration with you at the Boyd House. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
yeah, I'm down. Again, thank you so much for your time, for allowing me to interview you. You're an exciting group. Again, all your information is going to be in the description, your YouTube channel,
Thank
all
you.
that fun stuff. Where can people find you online? Like,
So we do a weekly podcast called Minnesota Spirit Cast. You actually caught an episode tonight, but we are off schedule today. This was a bonus, and that's every Wednesday night. They can catch us on our Minnesota Spirit Hunters Facebook. We are on Parapost Network Facebook page, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, TikTok. We have all kinds of social media. Website will be announced here in the next couple of days. Brand new merchandise and everything. And yeah, I believe that's it.
all right. I'm going to tag you on Facebook and Instagram when this episode goes up.
Yes, please.
For those of you viewing, thank you for watching. And as always, sleep tight.
Here's the door.